Hi, hello, how are you? I hope you're doing fantastic. My name is Alex. I am the content editor and producer for all things here at the AJ Osborne YouTube channel. We have been releasing episodes of our journey converting an old newspaper company building into a massive storage facility, and we've released several episodes, and today this is the last installment. The facility is open. It is running and all construction is finished. So today you're going to hear from AJ and Connor kind of summarizing the experience, talking about some of the challenges and some of the wins that have come from this insane project. If you've been following along for this series, we hope you enjoy, and we're going to include lots of footage of the process, all of the finals, how it's looking now, and of our grand opening. If you have any questions about this crazy conversion, leave them in the comments down below. We sincerely hope you enjoy this video and look behind the scenes of what went into this massive, massive project.
Right now, financing for real estate is really hard, even for self-storage. The markets are very challenging. Live Oak Bank is a specialist in financing for self-storage, including SBA loans. They are one of the leaders in financing all sorts of deals and deal size. We trust Live Oak Bank for their specialty in self-storage, their unique approach, and how they help their customers go through the process so there's no surprises. That in itself is a testament to their exceptional service and support. So whether you're looking to acquire, build, or expand a storage facility, Live Oak Bank has to be number one on your list to call. Click the link below right now so you can experience the difference that a dedicated self-storage partner can really make. First of all, this property is 5 acres on essentially the last exit into a downtown area. The reason why it was gold for us was you do have the price, but also the building had a space in it where they had to put inside the building a printing press. So it had the right permits and qualifications to allow storage to be in it, meaning it was already zoned and permitted. They couldn't say no to us because that was the usage. It's the same usage that you allow for storage. So that meant we could build inside and the city couldn't say no.
We just used that envelope of the building and actually built the storage within the structure.
Yes.
So you have these seismic gaps throughout the building that it's literally a storage facility built inside of a building.
It's really cool.
It's really freaking cool, man, how they were able to put that together.
It is really important to understand this is massive. Like this building is, you will be lost completely in it. It's wild. It's, over 1,000 unit doors. So this is really big, and office space on the top and a separate parcel that has RV storage. So this is very, very big, complicated. So when we bought it, we got the thing for 4.5, something right around there. This 5 acres on the exit, right?
Unreal.
Just the land on this thing was worth, we're talking 10 plus. It's wild. This is prime real estate. Side street, the works, right? Very developed area. The people that were wanting to buy it were going to scrape the buildings completely. They didn't even want them, and they were going to pay $8 to $12 million to get rid of it all just for the dirt so they could build up. And when we bought it, it just happened to be right in that period of time when everybody was flipping out. So we got it for like 4.5. That gave us a lot of room. And that's why we felt confident, even with all the unknowns, to move into it and say, this doesn't have to be priced to perfection. Even with all the unforeseen changes, we're talking, this thing is millions under what it would have cost us to do if we just bought the land. And 2, we would have never been approved for it, ever. It would have never been allowed. So that allowed the opportunity to be worth it, right? The company that owned it was going through bankruptcy. The markets were collapsing at the time. It was an office building. Nobody wanted it. It was during scary times. It was right when COVID lockdowns went into place. Like literally, we're like, everyone's going to die.
Yeah,
right.
The
like,
world
this
could
is,
be
the world
ending.
is ending. This was, we knew very little at the time, and nobody knew what was really happening. This was looking like economic collapse. And that's how we got into this deal, first of all. But as we went through the deal, then we're talking inflation, interest rates, right? And now we're opening up in the middle of the elections. So the amount that has taken place while we've been trying to open up this thing was incredible. Now, the trickle-down effect of this is ginormous, because when lockdowns happened, we couldn't go into the building department anymore. We were also in Idaho that was booming. So everybody from all these other states like California, Oregon, Washington, the East Coast that were doing extreme lockdowns, they were flooding to Idaho. So builders were trying to build to keep up with it at mass. So all of a sudden you had government agencies that were working from home. Things were breaking down, yet the amount of permits, developments, everything going through it had exploded.
It was quite the ride.
So this environment that we're in the middle of doing a development and a conversion project, this landscape was changing all the time for us. This is the same time that storage went from being 96% occupancy and everybody was doubling rates to all of a sudden the opposite, where occupancy and rates are falling. Both of those things happened during this time we were building.
4 years too, like from 2020 to now, 2024 now.
Yep.
And just 4 years experiencing almost like what a whole cycle might look like.
And then, of course, we open it up in the high interest rate environment. We made big changes through this process. We adapted with the environment. We changed layouts. We changed construction materials. So when we were doing it, we were looking at our facilities, changing up the units based upon demand that we were seeing, looking at what we needed to build, how we needed to build it, the whole way along. We were looking at the changes in occupancy and rates, and we could see what was good and bad. That actually ends up helping you out. We have the same thing on our surprise development, that markets actually changed, and we were able to redo our entire layout and build out of the facility, which actually increased our rent per square foot, even though rates had dropped, because we were able to optimize it. So that turns out to be very, very beneficial. So although it was hard, we did things right to make sure that this would be an incredible venture, which it is. It's probably going to be one of the best deals in our history of our company. The time, though, that it took was, it should have been 3 years. It was 4. And that's frustrating, right? In other situations, we could have had it done in 2.
At the beginning, we were in for permit on that for 9 months. Just to get permits. 9 months. It's amazing being able to be to the point where we are now. Had we opened, like you said, a year and a half ago, where things weren't as stabilized as they are now in the markets, it wouldn't have been a great first year. Now, the pros and cons. The pros of this one is the basis we got into it, but also the fact that the conversion meant we could get into a location where we just wouldn't be able to. We couldn't have gotten this location otherwise. And so that's what conversions can really do. Conversions can allow you to get into locations in cities that you couldn't. There's no land to. The land's unaffordable, or you couldn't get the permits. That was the mixture of things which made this such a unique thing. We had to execute on it. It was like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. We got to go. It'll never be up again. This land, this property type. I think those opportunities when they come up, and you move when you become experts at things. Especially going in on conversions, one of the cons is really not knowing. Like having a really hard time underwriting what the build out is going to look like, because there's so many unknowns. I mean, we had different floor heights and different things going on, and all those different dynamics happening. You've really got to have a fantastic architect, a great builder who knows what they're talking about. One of the individuals that we used to build this Forge Building Company, won't be shy about them at all. I mean, they went in there. I mean, first time looking at engineered drawings, when we sat down with them, they looked at it for 2 seconds and said, "Hey, you don't want to use these materials. It's going to cost you however many hundreds of thousands, and difference." That alone I mean, it's priceless knowledge. And if you don't do it right, again, it's, buy right, build right, do everything right. And to do that, you've got to have the experts.
The building and everything alone was probably $1.5 million over budget, because that actually fell down into like two or three things. The wiring. So we had to redo the water for fire, the pipes.
Yep.
They wanted bigger, so we had to redo all of that. And the wiring that we were going to use for lighting, electricity, that was supposed to work, didn't end up being a lot to work. We had to change that. Those two things alone were $800,000.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah.
And then we had
cheap.
the HVACs. There's a little more work on that we needed. We're totally happy with it and where it came out, because in the conversions, that's the risk you run. This is a really big building. This isn't like our Kmart that was an empty box. This is a combination of essentially 4 or 5 separate buildings that were put together, built over different periods of time since the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking office, shipping, printing press parts of the building. There's all these different utilizations of the building. So how they built it was even different. Mm-hmm. So this is very complex. Multiple floors. We have 3 floors in it. We needed to put in elevators, massive elevators. We have 11 entrances and exits. So the complexity of it, for us to be like, oh, well, okay, how it ended up and the cost it ended up, we're actually very, very happy with that.
Yeah.
That's actually quite amazing. It's still, a home run, which we're really excited about.
Well, and you hit on something really important too, talking about that you made me think of, is using and reusing existing infrastructure when you're doing a conversion. That can be a pro, but that can also be a huge con, because if something wrong happens, you don't know where, is the wire bad here or there, or so those are some of those. Oh man, roofs. Exactly. Yeah, I'm so glad we decided to go ahead and move forward, getting a new roof on.
Because we had huge rainstorms, and it was like,
it was a disaster.
Bad.
So yeah, it was good. So something to keep in mind as well. You can look at those cost savings and say, hey, I'm going to use and reuse these existing, electrical systems or HVACs or whatever it is. But if you really truly want warranties, peace of mind, all the value that comes along with those things, obviously putting in new infrastructure a lot of times can actually be a savings.
Yeah, our appraisal came in $2 million over. So over what the original appraisal was.
Yeah.
So upon completion, the appraisal was way over what we thought it would be. So that's awesome. We walked immediately into a great position. Now, kind of gone through a lot of the issues, the headaches, why it's worth it. We've talked about the pricing, overall development cost, timeframes, the things that slowed it down. We went with high tech. We went touchless, no key systems. We built in an area that had a lot of retirees. And we actually found that even if they don't want to use an app, they can have a key fob. And the older generation prefers that, as opposed to using big locks that they have to turn, they have to memorize codes, they have to do all that stuff. It's actually, they put a key fob on their keychain and that opens everything. And so but a lot of people vastly underestimate. They think that like boomers aren't on their phones and apps, which is entirely not true. Actually, boomers spend more time on their phones than Gen Zs do, and then millennials do. So that has changed wildly. But if they don't, there's key fobs, which they like better than having these big locks and using these metal locks. It's obviously easier, smoother. It doesn't hurt your fingers when you're trying to move those things around. We also changed up the utilization of space, where we have offices up on the top floor. Then we have bay areas for shipping, so we can actually provide a different use there. And when we opened it up, the environment in which we opened up could not be more different than we had it under contract. When you build, you're building for something in the future. But all in all, everybody, even with the challenges, everything else, the grand opening was incredible.
It really
huge
was.
Support. We had lots of people that came out. Our investors were amazing through the whole thing. There's things that we can't control. But if you're doing it right and you're building for the long term and creating value, you can do it in a way to avoid the really big traps and avoid the ticking time bombs, so to speak. And so we're really happy with how it turned out. And this is going to be, we'll keep giving you guys updated how we're filling up. We stabilized the RV space in under 6 months. And so we're excited. We missed a lot of the busy season. That's a big hit, but we'll get the next busy season, the end of this one. So we're really excited to see how much we'll fill up in the fall. So come out of the busy season, we'll let you guys know how that went and how much we could fill up, even though the months of, March, April, May, and June, we missed them. And those are the big ones. That's like, the big fill up season, but we'll still get the end and we'll see. We'll see how this thing goes.
I'm so excited, man. I'm really excited to see and continue kicking out the updates and giving everybody a pulse on what we're seeing and how it's going. I think it's a phenomenal asset. And two, if you guys are interested, we've got the entire YouTube series that start to finish on this thing that shows what this thing looked like before, what it looks like now.
It's wild.
I'm sure there's going to be even more video updates. I mean, this is a massive flagship facility for us, a lot of the partners that we work with. Incredible facility. And I know you talked numbers a little bit on construction cost. What are you thinking at stabilization this thing is going to be worth?
35.
Yeah, I was thinking 30 something.
30 plus. That's what we're shooting for. So
it's going to be legit. That is massive value creation for us, for investors. It's incredible. And that's one of the things I really, really like about development is that opportunity for equity and wealth creation. And to be able to go in and have those ebbs and flows with the market and to build the need, right? To build to demand. Really, really love it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.